Hello everyone, Kai here with you today from A Place for Kai, and I'm with you as we are doing a blog hop between My Sweet Petunia and Right at Home stamps. And I'd like to share with you this card that I've started already. I have first done, this is on a separate piece of cardstock. I have done this gingham plaid background, and I did it using Altenew Crisp Inks Ruby Red. And in my MISTI, I set the stamp on my lid and just put down a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch cardstock. It didn't need any magnets to do. Once it's inked up the first time, it's not moving, and this is 110-pound cardstock. It took 4 passes to get this nice deep color, which is what I wanted, and I really like the look at that. So that's to start, and that's with the Right at Home gingham background stamp. And then for the rest of this card, I'm going to use the Right at Home Christmas Critters. I'm going to use the trees today. It comes in a taller set. I've cut them in half and fit in my pockets. And I'm also going to use the Right at Home Christmas sentiments that are really cute. They have some really cute sentiments for Christmas, which is, as we all know, we all love sentiments at Christmas time. So to start with this, I'm going to first, I've laid it out in my MISTI using my creative corners. I'm going to kind of just move the cardstock across and make sure that it's in the right place that I want it to be for the stamping. This is just a mask because the center tree will be considered there. I'm going to remove it before I do the stamping. I've written down that I want this tree at 3 1/4 and 4.75 in my MISTI, so when I take it out, I know where to put it back to line up the next one, to make sure it's in the right spot, not to necessarily line it up. And it's about 1/4 inch off the bottom. I don't really worry too much about that. So picking up my, tree with the lid, that's fine. I've got it where I want it. I seem to have little black things. I don't know where they are. And just to say, I have first powdered my cardstock to get it ready because I will be doing some heat embossing. But for right now, I'm just going to ink up using Tim Holtz Distress Inks Crushed Olive. And give it a light spritz of water. Of course, I always miss. Not very much because I'm working on cardstock. Just to get a different look. And clean it up with my little cloth before I do the next one. And I'm going to put this at my 3 1/4 by 4.75, and I'm going to move across my card to the other end and see how well this works. Yeah, that is pretty good, but I don't want it to be the same as the other one. I don't like that when that happens. So I'm just going to move this up and over a tad. I've got water on my desk there. There we go. I like where that is. So off we go. Inking it up and spritzing it again. This time for probably a totally different look on the tree, which is why I like doing this technique. I'll try and aim better this time. No, still didn't get it. go. Totally different look on the tree. I love it. And clean up my stamp again. And my MISTI, so I don't have water everywhere. Ahead of time, I did my center tree. And the reason I did it ahead of time is that I've got heat embossing in gold on it. And I'm going to do these trees once they're dry with heat embossing as well. But this tree will go somewhere in the center here. And I might even add a trunk. And I might add trunks to those, but I hardly doubt it. But I will be adding a trunk, I think, to this one. With cardstock probably. So I'm just going to get these to dry. Now to do this second part, these are tiny little pieces to decorate the tree. So what I'm doing for this is I'm going to place where I want the bottom one to be. Keep in mind that there is embossing powder on here still. And where the top one I want it to be. Very sticky. That's because they're new. But that's okay. And then I can kind of decide where I want these ones and how I want them to look. Because I got the top and the bottom all done. And then I don't have to mess around arranging. Kind of like that a little bit. Now am I going to like that? I think so. So I'm going to add a little bit just from my pad just to make sure I've got enough powder on there. Never hurt to have too much powder. And I'm going to use Versamark ink. And I think for the first one, because I've already done this one in the gold, I'm going to do one in silver and I think one in copper. This is embossing powder that I've had for years and years. Martha Stewart embossing powder. And it's at least 10 years old and it still works great, so that's a happy note. So I'll ink the first one up and heat emboss it in the silver. Lots of ink. Get the silver down. Of course I would get a little bit in my MISTI. There we go. I've got a little bit hanging over the side, and that will bother me. So what I usually do for that is just take a paintbrush and get it out of the way. There we go, because that's not where I wanted it. I'm going to heat emboss this, and pardon the noise, I'll come back. There we go. And so there we go. The silver's done. Now I didn't measure this for this part. I could have done, but it's not really a big deal for me to just put the card where I want it to be, the cardstock, and set it up. I don't want it to be exact in any event because then it looks Okay, I think that's good. And of course I'll probably do the same thing that I did with the other one. It'll have a bit of an overhang and I'll just take that off. So and I'm going to heat emboss this one, I think, in the copper that I've got. Ink up this side. Hope I got good contact. I always say that every time I do it. Say it to myself. Hope there's good contact. There we go. There's a little bit on the side, which I don't want, of course. So take it. There we go. And I'll just heat emboss that. Okay, so what I've done while I was off camera is I added in a few of the stars, some solids and some negatives, and I've attached the card stock to my fun foam. I've got lots of ink that I've put on the back to attach it to my card base, so I'll do that now. There we go. And just go across it to make sure that it's nice and flat. So all of the bending that happened from the heat embossing is pretty well taken care of with it. And for this tree, I've propped it up, added my tree trunk just with a piece of cardstock, and put some more dimensionals on the back of this tree. And I'll probably add either some sequins or some clear crystal jewels. Now I don't know if I want this down or if I want this up. I think I like it there. Right there. So I still get that silver showing there. There we go. So I was thinking that after I put everything on here that I want something towards the bottom of the card. So I cut another partial panel of that, and then I used my Simon Says Stamps stitched Slopes and Hills, I think it's called, and made kind of a snow hill. And then I just added a few of the silver to bring the silver down into here, snowflakes. So I'm just going to attach that with my glue runner. My bird wants out of his cage, her cage. And if I do that, she'll be the star of the show. So she has to stay put. And anything I put down will be swooped away. Okay, so that looks okay to me so far. And I don't have any room for a sentiment, so the sentiment for this card is going to have to go on the inside. But I am going to add a few of my sequins. And I'm going to use glossy accents to attach them because I'm out of the mat. And whenever there's a bobo, that's the first place a sequin goes. a few flat ones and then a few cupped. Not many, because I don't want it to get too busy up here. It's busy enough, I think. And then I think for my second card for the hop, I'll use the snowman that's included in this set. It's really cute. So I'll have a couple more Christmas cards ready to go. I think I just want one more flat one. Whoops. Up here. I think that's enough. I think it's really cute. Just as I was about to start taking pictures, I was looking at this card that I had just finished taping with you all. And I decided, you know what, I don't like those trees without trunks. So I colored in with some marker these trunks. I did them in a really, really dark olive green to go with the color of the tree. And then I also added a die cut star to the top of the center tree. And I think that kind of finishes it a little bit better than what I had. So I just wanted to add that on to the end of this. And thanks so much for watching. See you next time.